Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and if you haven't heard already, a bunch of different images came out for Total War Warhammer, as well as some articles from Game Informer, PC Gamer, Eurogamer, all those guys. I'll have a different video on that. This one we're just going to look straight up at the images in all their glory. So the battle itself that we're looking at here is supposed to be the Battle of Blackfire Pass, which is a battle between two factions, the Greenskins, or two races, the Greenskins and the Empire. So it's supposed to take place between sort of a narrow volcanic pass between these two factions where they're located on the campaign map, and this is kind of where they come to heads. It's sort of a historical battle in the sense of the lore. And in this one, you just see two armies duking it out with a lot of different variety. Variety is one of the main things that they pointed out. So in this first image, I just want to let's all soak it in. The first thing that I think strikes me is let's take a look at the background. Because we're in the fantasy realm, you can see from the campaign maps, they are just going all out. And this is the breath of fresh air that I think, and the opportunity that I think the developers needed to really start stretching and pushing Total War. Attila battles were very bland. Take a look at what this battle map looks like, especially look in the back where that fortress is. That's a dwarven Karak. So now we start to get an impression of, okay, what might it look like to be a dwarven faction defending that if you're doing a dwarf siege, that is what you're attacking. It's got little one entrance, so we start to get a little bit of a teaser of what a siege of a dwarven Karak might look like. Also, the details of the battlefield, the atmospherics, the fire, and images later you'll see skulls on the ground, so a lot of atmospherics. Now let's go to the most obvious one, which is going to be the troops. So troop variety, in the back is going to be Empire, in the near ground is going to be the Greenskins, trolls of various sizes, so huge trolls, and then you have orcs in the near ground charging forward. Trolls look awesome. Look at how they're decked out. They look very fleshed out, definitely very imposing. And they're going to be your big hitters. And then in the front line, you can see club wielding. I'm not sure if those are trolls or just big orcs. Probably some form of a troll. Or no, those are trolls, and I think the big guys are giants. And then also on top of that, you can see two of the flying mounts called France, and then a war boss coming at it in the sky. Very, very excited. There's going to be an image later on where we look at that a little more closely. So let's go ahead and go on to the next image. This one here, we get to see a little bit more of the combat up close. So the Empire troops, these are going to be just kind of basically fodder units. I mean, these are your halberdiers up front, and they're going to be fighting against a troll with a giant in the background. So the combat on this, I don't really know how the combat animations are going to work. They have mentioned that they have, 60 skeletons as opposed to the previous 4 or 5. So, okay, more skeletons means, yes, you'll be able to have these guys move in a more lifelike and believable manner. But the number of skeletons has nothing to do with combat animations, and so I'm a little dubious about what types of combat animations we're going to see, just because of the sheer differentiation in sizes. There's the more different individual types of soldiers you can match up against each other, it just kind of exponentially becomes larger. The types of permutations and combinations you can have of different units fighting each other becomes exponentially larger. And so I can't imagine they would have combat animations for everything. So this image for me looks particularly doctored in the sense that they're all facing at him, and we don't quite see a combat animation. We'll have to see gameplay, but it does look promising. It looks very cool. Can't imagine these guys are going to stand up for long. Now look in the background, a couple things are going on. So on the top left we see the giant there, and he has a club. What we did hear from some of the press articles said that those giants and trolls are going to be kind of leaping around, bounding, and using their clubs to smash in on enemy guys. So you can imagine those guys are going to be primary targets that you want to take out, either with your spellcasters, artillery, gunners, all sorts of stuff. So really want to see how balance works out in the game. Now in the foreground, in the middle, take a look at that. So in the foreground, you see one of these trolls. He has his club out. He's hitting the guys. But look in the middle. You see the trolls actually vomiting onto the Empire guys. So perhaps that's an ability to decrease their morale, or perhaps it actually does damage to them. Maybe it slows them down. So, primary, secondary attacks, that's being hinted at right there. And I'm glad they threw in the vomiting effects. That's in the lore as well. And then look up on the top, you do see some flying units. Now, I'm not sure if those are little flying units per se, or if those are some of the goblins being thrown out of the artillery piece where they have the kind of gliders suicidal into the enemy ranks. So a lot of stuff happening here. Again, we have to wait to see gameplay for how it pans out, but look at the background. The environment is once again looking very good. I do like the character model details. It's promising to see all the variety of attacks in terms of a balancing standpoint. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. And also from a character modeling standpoint and combat animation standpoint, we have to wait and see. Let's move on to the next one. So this next one is going to be up close in combat. So instead of the Empire Halberdiers, you here have their, I believe these are the Empire Great Swords coming at it. So heavy hitters, they're all going to be attacking this troll. It looks like one of the Empire guys has already gone through kind of an attack. If you look on the right, it seems like he's already swiped through to that troll, and it looks like either the troll is recoiling from that attack or they're all kind of standing here screaming at the Empire guys. So this once again goes to point out we don't quite know how combat animations would work, but I am glad to see that all the orcs are looking ferocious, at least, up close. They are going to be screaming. All the enemy forces here are going to be screaming. So hopefully the audio from the game and just the battlefield noises are going to be really carry the vibe of ferocity, and you expect the orcs to be very ferocious in the way they scream and yell. Also, take a look at the foreground, the skulls, a lot of little details right there. But again, we can't expect too much from this. As we saw with previous Total War games, a lot of this is probably doctored or done in post-processing, editing, and all that stuff. So don't expect this to be in-game stuff. So we're just trying to collect general things from these images. Let's go on to the next one. So this is very excited one. You can see it up close with the demigryphs charging forward, knights looking very, very snazzy. I like how one of them doesn't have his helmet on, so you can see a little bit of his character details. He looks very cool. Something that people had wondered before is, are you able to paint your troops? This doesn't really give me any indication. I would have liked to see, maybe we would have seen in these images troops with different colors. It seems like here they're all red, which kind of seems to indicate that you won't be able to differentiate your army. It's kind of the Empire's standard color is red, and that's kind of what you get. But can't, again, draw out too much from this. Look at Karl Franz on, I believe that's Deathclaw, so looking very cool. But, I mean, it definitely looks not like it's from the game. The reason I say that is look at the feathers. They definitely look just too realistic, and the thing that gives it away is take a look at the claw on the rock. It's perched almost perfectly. I just don't believe that in the game the character models will react to whatever it's standing on, and that flying units will seek out a rock and perch exactly like this. I can't imagine this will happen. So this, to me, looks clearly doctored, but at least we get to see a close-up view of what these models might look like. Besides that, I don't think we can gain too much from this. Next one is going to be one of the potential combat animations where you see the giant there holding one of the men. And they did say in one of the articles that these guys had the ability to kind of chomp on men. And what this reminds me of is in, I don't know if the animation's in Attila, but it was in Rome 2, where you had elephants that could actually pick up men. So, it has been shown that this is possible. And take a look at the orcs on the left, definitely looking very ferocious with their war cries. And on the bottom right, you can see, I think that's a war priest, definitely engaging in the fight. So you want to send those very skilled guys to take out high priority targets like these giants. Let's go on to the next image. Here is the aerial combat. Finally, we've made it to this one. Karl Franz fighting against one of the enemy war bosses who's up there in the air. They did say in the articles that they got to see a little bit of the aerial combat that they're calling dogfighting. This is something that's new. They said it did look fluid, but it's very much a work in progress. So draw from that what you will. To me, it means like it looked fluid in the sense that, okay, maybe these guys are circling, bobbing, but when they actually fought, then it didn't really end up being very believable. So, this is something that I really hope they take their time on and really flesh out, because this is something totally new. And if you're going to have epic battles like this, you wouldn't want, above all of it, some flying glitchy units. That's going to completely break the immersion. So I hope they nail this. But yeah, combat, we don't really know how it works. Hopefully maybe they'll do it something like where two flying units are engaged, then they'll start circling each other, casting spells, or maybe doing ranged attacks at each other. I can't imagine they'd have combat animations for these guys colliding in midair. But again, we'll have to wait and see. And then on the sort of the below you can see some of the different units. And something I wanted to call out is, what are the unit sizes going to be like? So it seems here for the base troops, you do have kind of big blocks, but take a look at some of the trolls. They seem to be spaced out, so maybe a group would only have 5, 10, very limited numbers. And then maybe even some of the priests or the mages who are going to be very powerful, maybe they're just individual units or couple groups of units. So expect a difference not only in unit height, but also unit sizing and all that stuff. So I think this is very exciting. Not too much we can draw from this, but a lot of teasing. So we're gonna have to wait to hear from E3 and see, the gameplay for ourselves, how this all pans out. I do think it's very exciting, but of course, remember the Siege of Carthage demo, how promising that was, and how Rome 2 came out. So be very reserved with your views of this game. So overall, pretty optimistic. But if you want more details, check out the description below, where I'll have links to those articles, and also yeah, check those out. The other video I'll be having in the future where we discuss those articles, and hopefully I can get the lore experts on here so we can dive into this even further. Anyways, this is going to be my initial impressions of the images. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.